All right, so we are helping not only adults but kiddos get some sleep, answering some of the top questions to make sure our kids are getting restful nights. We have pediatric neurologist Dr. Adam Rappoport with Wolfson Nemours Children's Specialty Care joining us this morning. Appreciate you coming in.
Thank you very much.
All right, so we had a viewer that sent us a question specifically for the kiddos, saying that she has a 5-year-old who wakes up every night, that she hates bedtime, always wakes up early, and she said she's not sure how she got she said anxiety around bedtime. So tips to maybe calm this 5-year-old stress?
So it's really difficult, and there's a lot of questions that need to be asked regarding what's going on in this specific situation. So we would ask, how is the parent putting the child to sleep in the first place? Is there an appropriate bedtime routine? Is the kid getting enough sleep? Because everybody wakes up in the middle of the night. Every human being wakes up multiple times. We're just tired and groggy and have to go back to sleep. Now, some kids require what put them to sleep. So if that's either a mom laying with them or rubbing their back or something like a pacifier or a blankie that they're going to need in the middle of the night when they wake up.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of questions to be asked regarding this specific situation.
You know, and I do remember when my kids were little, I felt like I had to be very calm because any anxiety that I had transferred over to the child.
Absolutely.
So you really have to kind of create this really pleasant sleep environment as well. All right, so what is, Jinwa was very surprised by this, the right amount of sleep recommended by age group?
So we tell our patients that the recommendations by age, so we tell patients that are, or parents of patients that are between 0 to 2 months of age, they should be getting 14 to 17 hours of sleep. Yeah, so from 3 months to 1 year, they should be getting between 12 to 15 hours of sleep. Okay. Then we say the toddlers should be getting somewhere between 11 to 14 hours of sleep. The preschool age kids should be getting 10 to 13 hours of sleep. And then older than that, up until about 13 years of age, they should be getting between 9 and 11, and 13 to 17, 18 years old, they should be getting 8 to 10 hours of sleep.
Okay, more in line with what we should be getting.
Exactly.
What are the best ways to kind of get the little ones to sleep?
So it's all about routine and environment. So we try to establish the same routine night after night in the same environment. Sometimes we need things like blackout shades. We need things like white noise to kind of drown out the extraneous noises that can wake us up or make it difficult to fall asleep. So the most important thing is to create a very specific routine that you guys can adhere to, or anybody can adhere to, on a nightly basis.
You know, I had a mom ask me this, you know, are some kids naturally night owls? Or, you know, I feel like as adults we kind of get into that, where I'm an early bird or I'm a night owl. How can parents kind of help with that, or maybe it's the parents' habits?
So there's a little bit of both. There's something called circadian preference, and this is somebody's natural ability to have a inkling where they want to sleep a little, or they want to sleep a little bit later in the night or earlier in the night. There are some very extreme examples of this that are actually genetic mutations that will make people have better night's sleep, whether it is much later into the evening and early morning hours, or opposite, where they go to bed very early in the evening and wake up in the late night and things like that. So there are different mechanisms involved. It's environment, it's nature, it's nurture, and it could be genetics as well.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about you know, these sleep studies. As you hear them for adults, you know, we talked about the first mom who wrote in with anxiety, maybe for the child. What would you suggest that this mom do? Maybe take the child to a specialist? And how do sleep studies work for kids?
So sleep studies, it sounds very cumbersome because we do a lot of sensors on kids. We monitor, we put monitors under their nose and over their mouth, and we check their heart rate, and we check their EEG, their brainwave frequencies, when they do a sleep study, just like we would for an adult. We typically are looking for two things when we do a sleep study. Do they have what we call sleep disordered breathing, which would be like obstructive sleep apnea? Right. A lot of people think that kids cannot have obstructive sleep apnea. We think of kids that are snoring, they're gasping, they're holding their breath at night, and we often see that their daytime symptoms can be things like hyperactivity and attentiveness.
Right.
So those are the things that we really look for, and if they have movement issues. So if they're moving too much in their sleep, they're very restless sleepers, these are things that we can quantify and look at in an overnight sleep study.
Don't be afraid to take the kiddos to make sure that they're getting what they need and that you are equipping them with the gift of sleep, I like to call it. Thank you for coming in today.
It was my pleasure. Thank you very much.
And we'll be right back after the break.